Bonjour class! As public relations is becoming increasingly international, we all have to become much more globally competent, and this applies when working in France. There are a few PR hurdles that we all might want to learn and get over before we do any business in France. The first one is the most obvious, and this is language. Although the official language of France is French, most business is conducted in English. However, don't take this for granted, because most business people do prefer to speak in French. Also, you must be aware that there are strict language restrictions enforced on all media, which must be conducted completely in French. You can only use Anglo-Saxon words when the French equivalent is not available. So some language recommendations. Since relationship building is such a strong factor in French business, it would be helpful to make efforts to speak the language. Learn a few key phrases, or apologize politely if you don't know any French. It is extremely important to bring a translator everywhere you go, especially when producing any sort of media, as everything must be conducted in French and the people must get the proper message. Some political considerations in France is that it's a socialist-leaning country with a highly centralized government. Workers are given valued personal rights such as government regular work hours, ample vacation time, and specific hiring and firing processes. In government dealings, one must take into account not only Parliament, but also houses of Parliament, administration, and elected bodies. Also, France has a large bureaucracy, which greatly influences the workplace. Banking and money lending is highly regulated, as the French are quite adverse to risks. Playing a large role in communications, the government is both an enabler and a regulator. Some political consideration recommendations. As PR professionals, it is important to be aware of all public affairs in France. As both government regulations and union demands are at the business forefront, current events should be taken into consideration. Government influence over public communications makes many mistrustful over the media. It is important to select trusted and appropriate sources to send your messages. The third PR hurdle is the different ethical system in France. French business and public relations is operated under the Code of Athens Ethical Code. Condoned by the International Public Relations Association, the IPRA, this code was created in 1965 to respect the Charter of the UN and the Declaration of Human Rights. This code promotes operating with honesty and dignity and strictly forbids any sort of bribery. So some ethical recommendations. PR practitioners must be aware of the principles of the IPRA, gaining a deep understanding of the Code of Athens. Practice according to its regulations, and by no means do not ever offer any bribery to any public officials or anyone you're doing business with. I'll pass this on to Danielle now. Thank you very much, class.